discussing issues on Africa World Hour with Sepiso Makwetla. Channel Africa.
And it is 26 minutes past 9. Now, we follow up with what's been happening with regards to the family of the late former President Edgar Lungu. You remember that the Pretoria High Court yesterday said that it would hold off on a decision following the family appealing a decision that was made by an earlier court to repatriate back the body of the former President Edgar Lungu to Zambia. And the fierce legal battle, we understand, continues. And we speak now to Dr. Sishuwa Sishuwa, who's a Zambian historian and senior lecturer at Stellenbosch University. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking, to us, Dr. Sishuwa Sishuwa. So we have been speaking about this matter for quite a while now. It's been 3 months, as we mentioned, that the body of former President Edgar Lungu remains here in South Africa. We'll be speaking to various of your colleagues. It would be useful to get your perspective on what is happening now, and to what end do you think it all is for?
Well, thank you so much for having me. As you said correctly, what is happening now is that the High Court is to tell us when they would deliver a ruling in a application for leave to appeal the decision of the same court that was made previously ordering the repatriation of Lungu's body to Lusaka. The family appealed that decision. The family disagreed with that decision and indicated that they wish to appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal, and they appeared before the High Court this week Monday to indicate why they believe that the Supreme Court should hear the matter. If the Supreme Court, if the High Court grants the application, it means the matter of the Supreme Court of Appeal, where it will be heard, and if they dismiss the application, then the family could also still appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal against the decision to deny them leave to appeal. Determined, and have indicated that they are willing to go the way to enforce what they call the wishes of the president, that his successor, President Hakainde Hichilema, should not be anywhere near his body or funeral. As you may recall, it was really the refusal by President Hichilema to commit himself to saying, I'm not going to attend the funeral because I understand that the deceased, owing to how his administration, as the Hichilema's administration treated him, felt that Hichilema should not be anywhere near the funeral. So given the refusal of the incumbent Zambian president to publicly commit that he would stay away and to designate somebody else to the funeral, the family decided to bury Lungu in South Africa, but the government moved at the 11th hour to block a funeral which was already underway. And that decision has led us to these court processes that have dragged on. There have been attempts during the same legal process to negotiate between the two parties, but even these negotiations have hit a snag because both parties have refused to move away from the main matter. The representative of the Zambian government have been told, from what I gather talking to some of them, that they are prepared to make any concessions except the concession that Hichilema should stay away from the funeral. The Lungu family is also adamant that they are prepared to make any concessions and they are willing to go to take the body to Zambia for burial, provided Hichilema commits that he will stay away from the funeral. So that is really the crux of the matter, and that's what has landed us here.
So, Dr. Sishuwa, we've heard different opinions. I'm asking this question so that we move this conversation along. As I said, it's been repeated on many platforms. Do you think there is an angle that we have not perhaps pursued, that we have not thought about, that is important to framing what is happening at the moment?
Well, I think it's a question of what who stands to benefit ultimately from this standoff, for example. It's an angle that I think hasn't been pursued in terms of looking at it away from the legal arguments. You see, the determination by the Zambian administration to take the body to Zambia is informed by the fear that if Lungu is buried in South Africa, it could affect Hichilema's electoral chances next year when Zambia goes to the polls, because there's a danger that then the opposition may make this a campaign issue. So in an effort to reduce the cost of burying him in exile, the political cost of burying him in exile, what we are seeing here, and this can be connected very much to the legal action that was initiated by Zambia, what we are seeing is an attempt to make sure that if they can show Zambian voters that, look, we tried our best to get the former president to Lusaka for burial, but the family was adamant, then they would undermine the opposition's chances of using this for campaign purposes, because then the opposition, if, for example, the family wins the case, the opposition, particularly Lungu's party, could claim that if you vote for us, we could bring the former president to Zambia for burial, because the person who made it impossible for that to happen by refusing to step aside is the one that we should vote out, so that we could bring the former president back to rest at home. And I think that those politics, is something that has not been explored, this matter, and it explains the Hichilema's determination, in my view, to make sure that he does all that he can to secure the remains of my president and have him buried at home.
I want to ask, though, that the outcome of a protracted legal process, and of course the fact that the requisite traditional, religious, spiritual rituals, or should I say wishes, are not carried out, and the bitter taste, if at all, is what left in the Lungu family's mouths or spirits. How would that then impact on those political machinations that you speak of that could possibly influence the next election?
I think that let's assume, for example, that the court ruled, the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court, if the matter ended up there, or upheld the High Court decision, say Lungu should be taken home. There is a possibility, for example, that the family may boycott the funeral in Lusaka. The Zambian government, represented by the Attorney General, has already indicated that if the family were to boycott the funeral, they'll still go ahead and bury the former president, even without the presence of the family. Now, that could still impact the politics, because it would look like it's almost grabbing the body from the family for purposes of burying it in Lusaka. Then the opposition could, lay the charge that the government has shown lack of sensitivity. They should have allowed the family to bury the former president however they wish. The key issue here has to do with the fact that if you look at even the legal aspect, the state has really very limited sway in this matter, because it's not a requirement, for example, that the president must attend the funeral of a former president, for example. So he could have easily stepped aside. And the only argument that could be said that the state has a role is that Lungu, the state should cover his funeral expenses. The problem is that when Lungu died, he was no longer entitled to the kind of state benefits that included the funeral expenses. So the state's argument largely lies on the idea that they want to give him, to accord him a state funeral. But a state funeral is not a legal entitlement. It's an honor that the incumbent president gives to any individual in Zambia who, in the judgment of the incumbent president, deserves that honor. But you see, that honor cannot be imposed. So the critical issue really revolves around the room for negotiations. The ideal situation would be where both parties agree to say, fine, you don't want Hichilema to be present, because that seems to be the sticking point. then the president can designate the vice president or any other state official whom the Lungu family is amenable to, so that the funeral can take place in Zambia, ideally under circumstances where both the government representative and the family is present. In the failure to do that, I think that it will leave a bitter taste in the mouth of many people if the government proceeded on the basis of a court victory to bury Lungu in the absence of his family, because the family has made it very clear that they don't want the incumbent to be there, and if he forces his way, through either a legal victory that does not accommodate their concern, or by in the event that the negotiations break down or that the family wins the court case and the Lungu is buried here, he makes his way to the burial, I think they've made it very clear that they will do whatever it takes to protect the wishes of the family. So it's a very messy situation that I think could have only been resolved through dialogue.
Dr. Sishuwa, messy indeed, and I certainly am promising our viewers, our listeners, that we are going to reconnect with you again very soon to continue this very important conversation. And as you say, there is a different perspective that we have not been talking about, and I thank you for unearthing it for us, for revealing it to us. Dr. Sishuwa Sishuwa is Zambian historian and senior lecturer at Stellenbosch University, speaking about the ongoing legal battle to bury former Zambian President Edgar Lungu.